Hawk Talk with President VanWagoner.
Well, Jeff Smith, thank you for joining us here on MVCC's Hawk Talk
Hello.
podcast. Great to have you here. So let's get started. And if you don't mind, just tell us about where you were born and raised and what it was like growing up for you.
Absolutely. I'm a Mohawk Valley boy for life. I was raised in Verona, VVS kid, born in Rome Hospital. So I've always been around the area. And I went to VVS and then MVCC Rome campus from there.
How'd you find your way to MVCC? What attracted you?
Well, there was a number of colleges that I had thought about applying to. MV was closest to home, and it allowed me to work rather full time while going to college. So
Fantastic.
I was able to get my degree while working to put myself through college.
And what were your classes like? What was your major?
My major was culinary arts management, and my classes were very hands-on, and they were really awesome.
And did you know you wanted to go into culinary, or did you slowly find your way to it? Or at what point did you know you wanted to go into culinary arts?
I had worked in restaurants since I was about 14, since I was legally able to work in restaurants. And I had decided that I had put a few years into it, dishwashing, prep cook, line cooking, things of that nature. And I decided maybe I should give this a go.
And you said you were working while going to classes. Did you have any opportunity to get involved in clubs or organizations? Or
I did. I actually I joined a club, an extracurricular called the Scaffier Club. And the Scaffier Club allowed us to put on special events. Fish fries right at the college. We did several different school trips. One notable was to Chicago, and we went to a few area restaurants in Chicago and the restaurant exposition show.
Oh, wow. And during your time at MVCC, did you run into any barriers that made attending classes or going to college particularly challenging?
Certainly. Constantly juggling your work schedule with the college schedule. Luckily, we had a pretty solid schedule for college, but having to explain to your boss all the time that you have to be to class here and there, and they expect you right there, right after. So it was just constantly having to juggle that. I'd say one huge barrier that I came across was my brother passed away days before my final exam for Food Prep 3 and banquet and catering. But I decided to push on, to persevere, to help keep my mind off some of the things that were going on. And the staff was just so fantastic. They asked me if I would, if I needed time, if I needed to reschedule, but I decided to push forward, and they really helped me through a very hard time. So I would say that was a barrier that I'd certainly dealt with. But they were very accommodating for me, especially Mark Hoffman, or David Hoffman, sorry. And Andrew Glidden was fantastic. And I'd say that was one barrier that kind of helped me, that kind of kept me from class certain times, and really distracted me from a lot of aspects that I needed to stay focused on.
And you were still able to graduate on time.
Absolutely.
With all that.
Yep.
Successfully complete that class, and
Yep.
Gosh, what resilience. And so aside, you have just looking back on your experience at MVCC, from powering through with your brother's passing, trip to Chicago,
Yep.
all the club activities with the Scaffier Club. Any particular memories that stand out to you looking back? Story
that
or any other?
Restaurant Expo in Chicago was massive. It was outstanding. It was one of the best experiences I've had to this day.
At the McCormick Center, is it not?
Yep.
Massive
It was
event
several
center.
floors of it's just a food show for restaurant goers and restaurateurs to look at equipment, to look at food product, to look at knives, things of that nature, just to enhance their restaurant or their culinary journey. But that was really fun. We did a lot of special events, on and off premise at the Plumley Complex. I'd say.
And did you graduate before the Rome campus was redeveloped?
Yes, I graduated in 06.
Okay. And so that was still
18.
when it was in the former Oneida County Hospital building.
Yeah, that was
that
an
had been
interesting
transformed
building.
into.
Yes, what I will
Rome
say
campus.
is some of these students, they don't know what they have when it comes to facilities. So
Yes.
it was interesting, but and it was an old building, but it was our old building. It meant to us, It was great.
So what did you do after you graduated from MVCC?
After MV, I went to Europe for a couple weeks just to tour, sample some food, check out some restaurants. That was fantastic. Went to Amsterdam, London, Paris, and we were all over the place. That was a great time. When I came back, I took on a job at a place in Rome called the Savoy, and they made me their executive chef, and I stayed there for a good 10 years. So I was there for a while. I had decided at that point that I wanted to expand my horizons, get into some more fine dining. I loved the Savoy and everything, but it was family recipes and not a changing menu. And that was something I was fascinated with was change, movement, things of that nature, seasonal cooking, farm to table type cooking. So I went to a restaurant in Utica called The Tailor and the Cook. And I worked there, and that's where I met my partner, Vincent Petronio. And we decided that it was time to start something of our own.
And when you decided to take that leap, what was your vision and where did it take you?
Well, on the concept of movement, on the concept of change, passing of the seasons, things of that nature, we had based our concept and name on that. And that's where modus came from. It's Latin for movement. It's Latin for change, progression, and it's different for different people, but for us, it's momentum. And we had decided to go with that name out of many others that we had looked at, and we found a fantastic location across the Gold Dome Bank in Utica.
Right there on Genesee Street?
Yep, right on the strip, right next to Bank of Utica. So we really lucked out finding a great location. We own the building. It's one of the older buildings in the city. And we've had great luck ever since.
And how many years have you been open now?
We've been open for 5 years, 6 in October.
Great. So when you say that with modus as the theme and the vision of change, could you say a little more about the menu, how the menu changes with the seasons? Or?
So as the seasons constantly change and local produce and proteins become intermittently available, the menu evolves with that. So in the fall, you'll see a lot of root vegetable, storage vegetable, squash, things of that nature. Moving into the spring, you'll see a lot of forageables, fantastic, mushrooms, ramps, fiddleheads, things like that. And then in the summer, you'll see some more green leafy vegetables. So the menu's constantly changing with that and that availability. We work with a lot of local farmers, trying to get consistent product in to constantly change the menu and change with the times and stay relevant the best we can.
Fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing your journey. As you look back in your time at MVCC, what does MVCC mean to you?
MVCC means finding out exactly what I wanted to do with my life at a very young age. And I was lucky. A lot of folks don't know what they want to do until later in life. When I had started at MV, I had no idea. As a 17-year-old kid, just out of high school, who knows what they want to do with their life. But the second I got in the kitchen over by the Plumley complex in Rome, the second I got in there and got my hands on some food and broke down some proteins and was able to cook some sauces that I never thought I would have been able to do before, I had decided that I'd found a source of pride. And that's what MVCC is for me. It's a source of pride, even 18 years later.
So from the basement of the academic building on the Rome campus to owning your own business, owning your own restaurant right on Genesee Street in downtown Utica. Jeff Smith, thank you so much for joining us here on the
Thank you
Hawk
very
Talk
much.
podcast.
Hawk Talk with President VanWagoner.